YouTube, welcome back to another video. So it is Wednesday, and so I've been driving the Grand Am for kind of like a week and a half. Haven't really drove too far, just like up to Walmart, up to the smoke shop, 2-3 miles, you know, nothing major, but it's been doing really good. The clutch is holding up well. The only thing I noticed is that whenever I back out of the driveway, I'm hearing a clunk. So I'm not sure if it's this lower front mount down here. I mean, you see how that inside piece is kind of sticking out of the mount a little bit, but it's not like all the way out. And it is bolted down, so I'm pretty sure it's not anything to do with this front mount. But yeah, I need to figure out what the hell is going on with it and what's making the clunking noise, because I'm getting real tired of it. And then I also noticed that the car pulls, and so whenever you look from the back side of the car, looking down the front, the passenger wheel seems like it's turned to the left a little bit, and then whenever you come to the driver's side, the driver wheel looks like it's turned to the right a little bit. So I think it's just towed in, and you can see the steering wheel is perfectly straight. So I think I need to pull this wheel in like 1 or 2 threads, and pull that wheel in 1 or 2 threads from the inner to outer tie rod, and I'm hoping that will straighten it up enough. And then I also want to I'm going to double check everything again, and just to make sure that I didn't miss anything and everything is tight, and because I don't know what else would be making the clunking noise. I've got brand new struts on here, brand new well, no, the axles are used. It's the GXP that has new axles. But I mean, like, it's got everything new that I could buy for it. It has new. So there's no reason why it should be a strut or a control arm or something like that. So I'm just gonna go through, double check everything one more time, just to make sure everything is tight, and adjust both the front inner and outer tie rods a little bit, just to kind of straighten up both the wheels. And then I've got to fix this wire right here. It got pinched, as you can see. It's got a bare spot. It got pinched under here because I had it routed behind this rubber seal and under this plastic, and then I just have it running between the fender and the door, and then it goes down under here, and it ties into the wideband for, this is wired into this wire for the EGR, which is what sends the signal to the ECM to get your AFR reading, I guess. This is how Gage told me to wire it. And I was gonna run it down with the harness through the firewall down there, and I didn't. This was after the fact, and it was supposed to be temporary, so I need to fix that today and address that as well. So it's been raining for like 3 or 4 days, and we finally got some nice weather today. It's like 65-70 degrees, nice and sunny, no clouds in the sky. So I'm gonna get some tools out of the shed and try to get this thing all fixed up today. So the car is up on jack stands. So now I'm gonna go in the shed. I'm gonna grab the creeper so I can roll under here, and I'm just gonna check everything out. And like, I've already, like, grabbed a hold, and I've like tried to move the engine, and I mean, it seems solid, and I mean, the front mount, it seems like it's still holding. So I guess I'm just gonna go under here and see what it all could be, because the only thing I could think of is maybe that O2 sensor. It's right here, but that's the way that Gage made the downpipe. But that's the only thing I'm thinking, is maybe my wideband is hitting whenever I back up. I don't even have the creeper. I mean, it doesn't look like it's been hitting. It almost seems like it's clunking up here on something. So I guess I'm gonna double check everything up here. Make sure this mount and going to the rear from what I can tell, it looks like it's got the bolt through it. And I see threads coming out the nut. And you can't really see it on camera, but using the light, I can see the bolt and the nut sticking out. And this side's just the head of the bolt. That's why it was such a pain in the ass, because I had to do this in steps, and I had to like get the mount piece. I had to unbolt these down here, and I had to take this mount piece and lift it up to be able to get that bolt through, and then I had to slide it down onto this. Yeah, I had to slide it down into the subframe, put these bolts in, and then put the exhaust on. I had to do it in a specific order. Or maybe I had to put the exhaust on first, because once this mount is on, you can't even get to the exhaust bolt. It's stuck behind this mount. So it's a super tight fit, but I did manage to make it work and get it all bolted together. But I guess I'm going to go ahead and grab the creeper and try to roll around under here and see what all it is that could be clunking and making noise whenever I put it in reverse. So y'all stay tuned and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, let's see what we got under here. Oh, the AC compressor is definitely rubbing on the hose. Oh, that's bad. Surprised it's not leaking. Oh yeah. It's about to be though. That is definitely... Oh, I definitely just felt some coolant drip down my arm. Oh yeah, look. Whenever I move the hose, it starts leaking out of the clamp down here. That's weird. Alright, well I definitely need to fix that. Alright. Clutch looks good. Starter looks tight. AC compressor, that's tight. The mount here is tight. That's in the boot in there. I don't think that's gonna make it clunk though. I'm gonna have to check the wheel bearings and check the ball joints whenever I get out. I'll move the wheel. Power steering line is on. All these are tight. The fuck was that? Maybe it was slinging a little bit of trans fluid, or maybe that's just left over from whenever I drained it. Other than that, I've not seen any rear main seal leak, no oil pan leaks. It's actually dry underneath the car. It's actually really nice having a car that doesn't leak any fluids. I mean, overall, everything looks to be okay. I'm not seeing anything that looks out of place. Everything looks really good. Yeah, now you can get a better view of that mount bolt, and there's the nut. Well, everything's looking to be pretty good. I guess I'll grab some tools and make sure that all these bolts going into this mount are tight. Kind of looks like that one right there might be a tad loose. I don't know. I'll just have to grab some tools and try to make sure that these are nice and tight. Looks like that one could use a longer bolt. Come all the way through. Other than that, I mean, everything looks pretty good. This is the axle play left to right. And everything looks good. Everything's tight. So, I don't know. It really doesn't even look like it's the O2 sensor hitting either, and that's what I originally thought. So I don't know, I guess I'm just going to have to grab some tools and just go over everything and see what I can find, and then I'll give you guys another update. Guys, well, I've got a bunch of tools out, and so I decided to go ahead and start letting the coolant drain, and I don't feel like pulling the whole front bumper off, so it's just gonna have to drain really slow with the drain plug only like halfway loosened, because if I take it all the way out, it normally shoots like to way out here, and with the bumper being on, it'll just be coming out everywhere from the bumper, and it won't all go in the pan. So I'm just going to let it drain real slow. I've already pulled the cap off up here so it can flow out the drain plug better. But yeah, I'm going to let that drain while I get under here and start checking everything out, because I'm definitely going to have to replace that hose because it is just shredded. And so I looked in the shed. I only had 2 other upper hoses that go from here to here in the Grand Prix. So I might be able to use one of those. I'm not really for sure. And then I'm going to look in the trunk and see if I have another one in the trunk. No, I'm not seeing one in here. Yeah, so I'm going to have to look more in the shed for another hose, because I don't... Yeah, that one's definitely not going to be able to be used. It is fucked. So I guess let me go look through the shed for another hose, and I'll give you another update. So here we go, guys. So I got under here with some tools, and using the impact, all these were tight on this front mount, but I was able to get a wrench on the nut on this side, and then get the little impact right up through here like this, and was able to tighten it down. And I did get this tightened down some with the impact. And then also, this one up here was tight, which was one I thought was loose, but both of these had a little bit more going in. I got both of the exhaust studs or nuts to turn just a little bit, tighten up. I'm not able to get anything on this because, like I said, you have to put this bolt through and tighten it down to this bracket before you ever connect the exhaust, and then you got to bolt the exhaust on and then slide all this down into place. So it was kind of a pain in the ass to do it whenever I did it, but I'm pretty sure I got both of these as tight as I could with the wrenches before it all went together. These here were all tight. My subframe bolts over here were all tight. The transmission mount over here was tight. I did get a tiny little bit to turn on the mount using the impact and the big extender ratchet, but all these over here on the subframe and the mounts, like, everything was pretty much still tight. Like I said, I just got a little bit of turn on that and a little bit on the exhaust, and then 2 on this rear transmission mount, these 2 lower bolts. So I don't know, that could have been enough to make it go clunk like that. I'm not really 100% for sure. So I'm still gonna check out the struts and knuckle bolts and just double check and make sure that those are tight on both sides. Can't really see them from over here on this side from where I'm at. But yeah, you can see them right. I gotta check both of those bolts that are, oh yeah, right there. Both of those right there. I gotta check both of those, make sure those are tight. And then I'll check the up there at the very top where the struts bolt into the strut towers. Now, other than that, that's the only other thing I can really think of that would be making a clunk whenever I back up. Because I really don't think that this O2 sensor is hitting. I mean, it don't matter what I do, that's not touching. So the only thing that might be clunking, if it is hitting the car, is going to be way back there in the back where I did the muffler and all that. But all this up here seems to be perfectly fine. I don't see any way that this is going to touch at all. Oh, nope, it is. It's bumping right there. So I guess whenever I put it in reverse, it must be moving, the whole engine must be rocking forward enough. So maybe now that I've got everything nice and tight, maybe that will really hold it in place and the engine won't move as much. So I don't know. Hopefully, fingers crossed. That's the only thing I can really do at this point. And then in my room, I have another O2 bung. So I need to drill another hole and weld in another O2 bung. And so I'm going to actually run my wideband, and I want to run the factory O2, because the plug for it is just like right up here, and it's just zip tied out of the way, and so it wouldn't hurt just to have it running too. So the factory setup for the emissions for your fueling and pretty much that's really what I'm wanting. I just want it to have so that the computer's reading the fueling with the catless downpipe, and then having the wideband is just for my gauge. So that might even eliminate the whole little log wire. I'm probably going to leave that anyways, but that will probably eliminate the need for it. But yeah, other than that, everything looks really good. I don't see anything else that would be hitting. So it looks like it's just that exhaust right there where it bends around that turn. Let's see if it'll focus. Yeah. So I guess that's where it's hitting. So at least I figured out what the clunking was. It was just the exhaust hitting the body. But I definitely still need to adjust these outer tie rods, and then I still want to check those strut to knuckle bolts up there. So on both sides, I guess. Yeah, there we go. Right there. So I'm going to get these tie rods adjusted and check these strut to knuckle bolts and make sure everything's tight. And then I'll get out from under the car and put it back on the ground, and we'll go for a test drive, see how she rides. That I forgot, I'm draining coolant. I can't really go for a drive. I've got to fix that radiator hose. But I just broke free both of the inner tie rod nuts, so now I've got to use my 13 wrench and spin the tie rod, and I'm going to thread it into the outer so it pulls the wheel in some, and that will straighten it out a little bit. So I'm just going to do like 2 full thread rotations. I'm going to put 2 more threads in. So hey, this phone's dying, so I'm going to go throw this phone on the charger, get these tie rods adjusted, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright YouTube, so the phone is in there on the charger. I've still got this thing draining coolant. I've got all the tools out from underneath the car. I did go ahead and go over everything. I got all my tie rods adjusted. I got the nuts, the lock nuts tightened down. And now, like whenever you look at it from straight above, it looks pretty damn straight with the fender. And then whenever you look from the back, it looks a heck of a lot straighter than it did before. So it looks pretty good from that side, and then this side, it looks really damn straight as well. So I think that's going to help out a lot with the torque steer and everything. So fingers crossed that it works. So now I've still got to figure out what I'm going to do with the radiator hose and the AC compressor, because that compressor has leaked like no other, or has rubbed like no other on that radiator hose. So I think maybe one of the zip ties broke and it let it start rubbing. I'm not for sure. But I guess nothing I can really do except pull the hose off and replace it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm probably gonna have to plug in my light here pretty soon to give me some light so I can see what I'm doing down in here. But it's coming along. So she's still draining out coolant, and then once it's done draining the coolant, then I can actually pull the radiator hose off. And so that's pretty much all I'm waiting on right now. And then I'm gonna see if I can use one of these other hoses that I have and maybe cut some of it off to make it a little shorter, because I'm pretty sure this is going to be too long either way. The thing that I think might be what's different between the two is, so this is one I had on there, that's where it rubbed, so I'm pretty sure this hole is bigger. Yeah, so that hose isn't going to work anyways. It really sucks that this one got rubbed through, because this was a nice hose and it was brand new. But like I said, it's not the first one that's rubbed through. This is like the third one. So I guess I might end up having to buy a hose. And I need to swap the compressor so it doesn't have that huge pulley on it, or at least try to take one of these older style pulleys and AC clutch. I was already trying to pull it off and I got the nut off, but the clutch is not wanting to come off. And on the videos that I watch, you're supposed to pull the clutch off, and then there's a snap ring that holds the pulley on. But I don't know, I can't get it to come off, so I don't know if I need to have a tool. I'm going to have to do some more looking up stuff, trying to figure out how to do that compressor, because I don't want to mess it up, because that is a good compressor. That is the one I had on here before I swapped to the Series 3 style. And yeah, it's just going to be a pain in the ass. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So I guess I'm going to finish letting this coolant finish draining and then get the slide on, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so I've been working on the Grand Am, and the phone is still on the charger, but I finally got all the coolant drained out. I went over everything that I could. Like I said, I got that one bolt on the front mount and a couple bolts on the rear mount to tighten down a little bit, and the exhaust, and that was pretty much it. And then the radiator hose is rubbing on the AC compressor pulley, and so this is like the style of pulley that is on it right now, and it's got this huge lip. And then this is what I had on it previously, and there's no lip, it's just flush. So this is another Series 3 compressor I pulled the pulley off of, and so I'm going to try to remove this pulley and clutch assembly and put it onto the Series 3 compressor, so that way I still have just the 2 bolts here and the 1 bolt back here to bolt the compressor to the block, instead of having to use a bracket with studs, because with the studs you can't slide this off of the studs with it in the car, and that's the main issue. And so there's no way to really drop the compressor out of the car without dropping the subframe or doing all this extra bull crap to try to get the compressor out. So I want to be able to use the newer style so that I can just unbolt it and drop the compressor out with the line still connected. If I ever have to pull the engine or whatever, I can just leave the compressor in the car with the line connected to it. And so that's the whole point of swapping to the newer style compressor. But my issue is the pulley keeps rubbing the damn hoses. So I've watched a few videos, but with this Series 2 style compressor, it's just different. I don't know if it has to be pulled off with like a puller tool or something to remove this AC clutch. But on all the other videos that I watched, they said it's pretty much like the newer style, where it just has 1 bolt or nut that you undo from the middle, And then normally the clutch just slides right off, which once I took on the Series 3, it has this little Torx head bolt, and once you get that off, the clutch literally just comes right off. And then it has a snap ring, which is right here, that holds the pulley on. And so that's what I figured this one was going to be, but it looks completely different, and it's got like a dowel pin in there, lock pin, and whenever you spin the clutch itself, it spins the whole shaft in there, and the pulley, spinning the pulley doesn't spin the shaft. So I don't know, I've got to figure out how to make this work, because yeah, I just need to figure out how to get this off, this clutch off, so I can pull this pulley off, so I can see if this pulley will even go on and fit around this the newer compressors, whatever this is. I guess it kind of just sits there inside so that it actually spins on this bearing right here. I don't know. That's going to be my next thing, and then I don't have another lower radiator hose, so I need to get another radiator hose. So I'm pretty much at a stopping point for tonight. There's really nothing else I can do. I did get the wheels adjusted to where the alignment looks a little bit better, and I did, you know, get a couple of mounts tightened up, and I'm pretty sure that's gonna fix the clunking whenever I back up. I was pretty sure it was just from that front mount being a little loose. But I mean, other than that, I feel like I made some good progress today, but I can't really drive the car because now there's no coolant, and because the hose pretty much has a big ass hole rubbed in it. So I need to figure out something with the compressor, some way to get this clutch off, and then once I actually figure out how it works and if this older style pulley will work with the newer style compressor, then I will end up just pulling this compressor off and doing it on this one, because that compressor is bad. That was off my mom's car, and I've already changed it, and I just wanted to see how this pulley and clutch stuff came apart on this compressor, because it is this exact same style as what's on the car now. And but yeah, so I'm pretty much at a stopping point. So I've already got all the tools picked up and put back in the shed, and I'm about to close down the hood, and I've got to put up these wrong ARP flywheel bolts I pulled out of the trunk earlier. But I mean, other than that, I feel like I made good progress today, so I think I'm going to call it for the night, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow in the daylight. Hey YouTube, so it's the next day. I've been working on the Grand Am for a little while. Had to go make some parts runs, so I finally got the old radiator hose off. This is it. You can see where it was rubbing on that pulley. Just barely started to show the strings in there, so it wasn't leaking yet, but it was about to be. And then so went and got this new hose. It was like $38, $39. Here's the part number. It's a Duralast C71591. So went and got that hose. I've got it on now. It is on the radiator and on the engine, and I'm just got to get clamps on, but I couldn't get it to fit in there with the compressor, so I had to pull the compressor out just to be able to get the new hose to go in place. So I already know it's gonna hit, so I don't even want to put that compressor back on. I have my Series 2 compressor sitting over there. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to just pull this pulley off and put it on this compressor. It's just not going to work. If you look at the whole center, the way that this comes apart, there's actually a special tool for pulling this older style clutch, AC clutch off. And like this one, it was just one little Torx bit. The clutch came off, and then there was a clamp in here that holds the actual pulley on, and it goes right in that groove. And this is my mom's old AC compressor. It's burnt up, so I was just kind of learning with this one, just checking it out, see how it works. And I thought I was going to be able to just pull this one off and put it on this compressor and keep the newer style compressor with the older style pulley, but it's just not going to work because all the center geometry is different. than this one over here. So I'm pretty sure it's just not going to work. So I'm going to have to get another Series 2 style bracket that bolts onto this compressor with the 3 studs, so I can put this compressor back on just to keep the belt from, you know, I got to have the compressor to hold the belt in place so it will run the water pump and the alternator and everything else. So I guess tomorrow I'm going to have to make a parts run to the salvage yard and go get another bracket, because the ones I did have on here was the aluminum bracket off of like the Buicks and the Pontiac Bonneville. And whenever I swapped from the older style or the newer Series 3 aluminum pan to the older steel pan, and I started using that big U-mount engine bracket, it wouldn't work with that AC compressor bracket that I did have, so I had to swap to the Series 3 style compressor that the bracket is built onto the compressor. And so that's whenever I started having the issue with the pulleys rubbing the radiator hoses, and now this is the third hose that I have ruined on an AC compressor. So yeah, I'm tired of replacing hoses. They are getting expensive. And so yeah, that's where I'm at. So I guess tomorrow I'm going to go make a run to the salvage yard, try to get the bracket, and then I can put this thing back together the rest of the way. And fingers crossed, once I swap out to the other older style compressor that doesn't have that like 1/2 inch lip going all the way around, then it will give me enough clearance and it won't rub on the radiator hose anymore. So I guess I guess I'm gonna keep working on this and get these clamps on and get everything tight, and then I can go ahead and fill it back up with coolant, and because that part will be done, and then it will literally just be the AC compressor and putting the belts back on. So I guess I'm gonna finish this up and I'll give you guys another update before I call it a night. Guys, so I went and got the phone, got some flash now, but you can see I've got the new hose is on. I just need to tighten the lower clamp. I've got this upper clamp tightened, so the new hose is on. But the issue is with the compressor, it's hitting because it's got that huge lip. Like you see, that's a good 1/2 inch lip, and I need one like that. So unfortunately I'm kind of stuck right now. I can't really go any further, but I do have the hose on. So I guess tomorrow sometime I'll have to go to the salvage yard and pick up the bracket to run that AC compressor, and then I'll just have to go back to the older Series 2 style AC compressor and go from there. So I did remove both of the belts, so I got both the belts up here. But yeah, that's pretty much my only holdup. So I guess I've got the coolant I drained out in here, and I put this cardboard over it to keep stuff out of it. So I guess I can probably top this back off once I get that lower clamp all tightened down, and just make sure it's not going to leak or anything. And then once I get that filled up, like I said, the hose is already on now, so once that's tight, I should be able to fill it up. And then once I get the AC compressor bracket, I should be able to bolt it to the compressor, and then get the whole compressor up in there and just bolt the bracket onto the engine with the compressor already bolted to it, and that should be okay. So I guess I'm going to go underneath and finish up this lower radiator hose clamp and get it tight, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright YouTube, so it is the next morning. You see the Grand Am there. So I am taking my mom's Grand Prix and I'm going up to the salvage yard this morning to go get that AC compressor bracket. And I took pictures on my phone, and I've got my phone in my pocket. I've got tools loaded up. I'm going to swing by David's because he said he wanted to go. And then I'm going to go up here to the salvage yard and see if I can get an AC compressor bracket. And then I also need to get an O2 sensor for my mom's car. So I'm going to get that while I'm there as well. And yeah, hopefully I can get this AC compressor bolted on and get the belt back on. And that will at least let the Grand Am run and drive. So that is the goal. So I guess I'll give you guys another update once we make it over to Danny's. Alright YouTube, so it is the next morning. You see the Grand Dam there. So I am taking my mom's Grand Prix and I'm going up to the salvage yard this morning to go get that AC compressor bracket. And I took pictures on my phone. And I've got my phone in my pocket. I've got tools loaded up. I'm going to swing by David's because he said he wanted to go. And then I'm going to go up here to the salvage yard and see if I can get an AC compressor bracket. And then I also need to get an O2 sensor for my mom's car. So I'm going to get that while I'm there as well. And yeah, hopefully I can get this AC compressor bolted on and get the belt back on. And that will at least let the Grand Dam run and drive. So that is the goal. So I guess I'll give you guys another update once we make it over to Danny's. Guys, so I just got the lower clamp all tightened down. As you can see, it looks good. It looks like there will be plenty of clearance once I get the older style compressor back in here. So all I can do is cross fingers and just hope, but it fits in here really nice. It's not rubbing on the fans or anything else, so I shouldn't have to zip tie it over or anything. Yeah, that other hose that I just pulled off, it was like cut really short to pull it way forward, and it was still rubbing. I think I did that once I swapped to the Series 3 compressor, and I've already rubbed through a couple of hoses before this last one, and I thought I had it all situated, but it was only zip tied, and I guess the zip ties broke, and so yeah, that's why it rubbed. But shit happens. Got a brand new hose, and I'm gonna go get that bracket tomorrow, get it bolted on right there. It goes on that stud and then bolts in on the front side of the engine, and then it bolts into that big hole, what's that? Yeah, right there next to the oil dipstick, and that's the big 18. And yep, it'll bolt on there, and then I can bolt the compressor. Well, I'll probably have to bolt it to the compressor as I put it on, but either way, I'll get it on here, and then I'll be able to route the belt, and hopefully the pulley doesn't hit that hose. And if it does, I might have to pull this lower clamp off and cut a little bit more of the hose off. I already had to cut a little bit, so I might have to cut a little bit more just to suck it forward a little bit more. But I guess we'll find out once I get the Series 2 style bracket and get this older Series 2 style compressor back on here, and I guess see how it does, see how close it is. So it's probably going to be it for tonight. So y'all have a good night, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow in the daylight. Alright YouTube, so it is the next morning. You see the Grand Dam there. So I am taking my mom's Grand Prix and I'm going up to the salvage yard this morning to go get that AC compressor bracket. And I took pictures on my phone. And I've got my phone in my pocket. I've got tools loaded up. I'm going to swing by David's because he said he wanted to go. And then I'm going to go up here to the salvage yard and see if I can get an AC compressor bracket. And then I also need to get an O2 sensor for my mom's car. So I'm going to get that while I'm there as well. And yeah, hopefully I can get this AC compressor bolted on and get the belt back on. And that will at least let the Grand Dam run and drive. So that is the goal. So I guess I'll give you guys another update once we make it over to Danny's. Alright YouTube, so I just got back home from going out to Danny's. So I got the compressor bracket. So it bolts on to the engine like this and gives you the 3 studs. And then this bracket bolts onto the back side of the compressor like this, and then that's the bolt that bolts to the block. So I had to get 2 different brackets, but I got them, and they're off of a Grand Prix. It was like a 02, I think, Grand Prix. It wasn't supercharged, but the bracket seems to be the same. And then I kept looking around, and then a Monte Carlo I found this air box, and this is, does it say cold air inductions? So I'm gonna get this thing cleaned up, and that's probably gonna go in the GXP because I don't have an air box in there right now. And it looks like that's about the right size for my piping to go through there, and have my filter just sit in the box. So that's a really cool find. And I also got the O2 sensor from my mom's car, so I'm gonna have to do that later. It started raining, so I'm gonna have to do that another time. But yeah, that's my little haul. So now I can get my AC compressor that's over there, my Series 2 one. I can get it bolted up to the bracket, and then I can get the whole bracket put up there in place where it needs to go, and kind of go from there. And hopefully it all fits and the pulley doesn't rub on the hose, because I've already got it full of coolant. So it is completely full of coolant. Yeah, she's full. So, but it's been sitting all night and all morning, and it hasn't leaked anything, so I'm really happy with it. At least I know that the hose isn't going to leak once it's driving again. So yeah, now my only issue is getting the AC compressor bolted up and make sure it doesn't rub on the hose. And if it does, then I'm probably going to have to drain some coolant and cut that hose again and make it another like ½ inch to inch shorter to get it to come in towards the radiator further. But hopefully, with not having that huge lip on the pulley, that compressor will just bolt right in, and hopefully it'll just be good to go. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright y'all, well, it really started coming down, but I was able to get the bracket bolted onto the compressor, and I've got the bracket slid through that stud, and I'm trying to get the lower bolt in. Yeah, you can kind of see it right there. So I'm trying to get it to go in, just being a pain in the ass. You can kind of see it down there, right below the red, right down here. Yeah, so I need to line up that other hole by rocking. I need to like rock the whole compressor like this, so I can get that hole to line up. But if you can see over here, the pulley's already touching the hose. So I don't freaking know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I guess I'm gonna have to drain the antifreeze back out and cut more off that hose. But at least this one is looking like it's going to fit a lot better. So I've just got to get this other bolt in here so I can get it snugged down. I've got to get the nut on that top stud sticking out, and then I can worry about the hose. But at least the compressor is in there, and it doesn't have that huge lip on the pulley. So hopefully this works. So I guess even though it's raining, I'm going to keep working on this until it's just flooding me out. It looks like it's starting to. Alright, well, I might just call it for a little while. It says 100% chance of rain all day, so I guess we'll see how the weather acts for the rest of the day. But overall, making some good progress. At least I've got the mounts fixed, everything's tight. I figured out what the clunk was. It was just the exhaust. And I'm almost done with this AC to hose stuff. Got the new hose on. Sucks I'm going to have to pull it back off to cut more off of it. But it happens sometimes. So all I can really do is just go from here and try to work around it and make a fix. So I guess I'm going to keep working on it for a little bit, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright y'all, well, I was able to get under the car, and I was able to rotate the compressor forward like so, and I was able to get that lower bolt to go in and start being threaded. So that's really good. So that's pretty much where the compressor is going to be sitting. And it is still rubbing, but if you look how much meat I have, I can cut out like another inch of this hose and still have enough to bring this hose forward more. And that should give me enough clearance. So I'll just have to keep working on it, and I'm definitely going to have to drain the coolant so I can loosen this hose and cut it. But it is what it is. But I'm really happy with it. I'm glad that it's I've got the bracket, and this should be a lot better than having that other compressor and pulley. So fingers crossed this works. So I guess I'm gonna keep working on it, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright you guys, well, I just pulled the radiator hose off and let it all drain. And as you can see, I've got the hose way past where it normally goes. And you can see how much I'm gonna have to cut off to get it to clear. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to cut off at least about another inch to inch and a half off that hose to make it go on the radiator and clear and not be in the way of that pulley. So I don't know, I guess this bracket must space the compressor out further, so it still sits at about the same spot. So I don't know what the deal is with that. But it does bolt on. It doesn't interrupt this big U bracket for the engine mount. So I guess that's good. Oh, but man, I was really hoping it was going to suck it in further. But you can definitely see it kind of spaces it out. And then yeah, I got the rear engine mount bracket on, or AC compressor bracket on. Just 3 bolts. So that is on and tight. The compressor is bolted down. It's where it's gonna be. It's pretty solid. So now it's just figuring out that hose, making it to where it doesn't rub that compressor pulley. So I'm gonna let this drip for a few, and then I'll get down here and start messing with it, trying to cut that hose, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, so I made a little more progress. I decided to go ahead and put the belts on, make sure belts were going to fit. I got the main belt on. The original belt I had on with the Series 3 style compressor was too short for this compressor, so I had to go get in the shed. I had a couple other belts, another supercharger belt. So this belt and the belt that's on it now, I guess are Series 2 belts, and that one is a Series 3 belt. So I had a belt to fit it, so I've got another belt on. It is on, and yeah, as you can tell, I need to cut quite a bit off of that hose. You can see where that aluminum piece for the radiator is, where it ends, and how much further that hose sticks past. That's a good, what, 2 inches? Inch and a half to 2 inches I need to cut off, to where it looks like if I do, it's going to give me just enough clearance on that pulley. So it's going to take a little bit more cutting, but I'm gonna leave that for a little bit later. Hopefully the rain will die down, but for now I've made a lot of progress this weekend, or this last couple of days, and so I fixed a lot of stuff on it, and I feel like I've been really productive the last few days with this, trying to get this thing fixed. So yeah, I think I'm gonna call it for a little bit and just go inside and clean up. Super nasty. I just took a shower this morning too, but I'm gonna go take another shower, change, get in some nice clean clothes, and hopefully the rain will die down, and I'll come back out here in a little while and continue messing with this hose, and that will give plenty of time for all the coolant to drip out. As you can see, it's dripping all over the ground. So that'll at least give me some time to let this drip, and that way it won't be dripping in my face and stuff while I'm down there trying to cut the hose. So yeah, I'm gonna go take a break for a little bit, and I'll give you guys another update here after a while whenever I come back outside. Alright you guys, so it's raining really hard. You can see it's just pouring down. So we had to pick up all the tools, put them in the car. We're gonna have to call it quits until the rain calms down. But it's pretty much done dripping, so I'm to the point where I just need to cut the hose and then test fit it. And if I need to cut some more off, then I'll cut a little bit more off and then test fit it until it's not going to rub on the pulley down there. And then once I get it to where it's not going to rub on the pulley and it fits on the radiator good, then I'll get the clamp on, get it tight, and that should be it. Then I can fill it back up with the coolant and we should be good. But as you can see, I'm getting flooded out over here, so I guess I'll give you guys another update whenever it's not raining. Alright y'all, well, it is 3:30 in the morning. It's finally stopped raining. It rained all day. I ended up going in and going to bed, taking a nap for a few hours, woke up, it was still pouring down rain. It finally stopped about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, around 1 in the morning. And so I haven't even messed with anything out here since then. I just wanted to give you guys a little update, let you know that it finally stopped raining. So hopefully it won't be raining in the here in the next 3 or 4 hours whenever it starts to get daylight, and I can come out here and get this hose cut and get it all test fit to where it doesn't rub on that AC compressor, and hopefully it works. And if I still can't get it to work, then my only other option would be to take this newer style compressor and just grind down the pulley to where it fits, to where it doesn't have this huge lip on it, kind of like the Series 2 compressor. So if I could grind these down with the grinder evenly all the way around, then that would give me, that much more space for that hose to clear. I guess you can't even really see it right now, but those are my only options. It's either going to be cut more off of this hose or grind down that pulley. And I really don't want to cut the hose because it's a brand new $40 hose, but I don't really want to destroy a perfectly good AC compressor either if I don't have to. So I'm kind of weighing my options, but I'm not going to mess with anything right now. I'm going to wait till it's daylight, around 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. So I guess that's going to be it for right now. So I'll catch you guys back out here in the morning in the daylight. So it's 10:30. I just come back out here. It's finally nice and sunny, nice clear blue skies. So I can finally try to get this finished up today. So I've got my little knife and some razor blades. I'm going to grab the creeper so I can roll under here and I can cut some more off of this hose, and hopefully I can get it to fit on here and clear that AC compressor. So I guess y'all give me a few and I'll give you guys another update. Alright you guys, so as you can see, I've got the hose cut and it is on, and I've got just a tiny little bit of clearance. I just cut out, what is that, about an inch? Yeah, I just cut out about 1 inch of hose, and I had already cut off about 1.5 inches. It's right there on the table. I'll grab it in a minute. But it is on, and we are not touching. So that is awesome. Get the flash on. There we go. Yeah. We have clearance. So I could probably cut like a 1/4 inch, probably like that much more out, and I could probably get it to suck a little bit further, but I'm starting to get into the curve up right here of the hose, so I don't want to cut too much more. So I think I'm just going to tighten down this clamp and call that good for now, and hopefully the engine doesn't move and it doesn't start rubbing on that hose. So I'm going to make sure I've got all the bolts on this AC compressor tight, and then tighten down this clamp, and then I can go up top and fill it back up with the antifreeze, and then hopefully lower this thing down on the ground as long as you don't have any leaks, and go test drive it. So I'm going to get this finished up down here, and I'll come back to you guys and give you another update. Alright you guys, so I just finished chopping it off with coolant, and so I broke the bleeder valve free. That's hard to hear, but you can kind of hear the air going psh and escaping. So I normally do that until, see, now it stops, and now I'll go top it off again, and all that does is it lets the air out of the system so that it can let coolant flow from the overflow down into the radiator, and it pushes more coolant up into the engine. So that's the whole reason why I do that. So now I'm going to go top it off again until it starts squirting out of the bleeder valve here, and then that way you know that the system is pretty full, and then you can tighten it up, start it, let it run, all that. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten it up, or fill it up until coolant starts coming out of the bleeder, and then I'll tighten this down, and then I'll get the car off the jack stands and back on the ground and give you. Alright you guys, so I've got the car back on the ground. She is filled all the way up with coolant. It's not leaking. I've waited like 10-15 minutes. It hasn't leaked a drop. So everything should be good. I'm going to go ahead and start it up and turn the heater on so it can bleed. So it's a neutral fuel pump. Sorry, Luna. Plenty of space. I'm gonna let her get a little bit of temp in it, and then I'll bust that bleeder open and give you guys another update. The smoke shop, and it drove great, and so I'm happy with it. I didn't hear any clunking at all, like any direction. Also, adjusting the wheels and tires, the wheel is straight, and it has a tiny little bit of pull when you get on it, but nothing bad. It's way better than what it was. So I'm really happy with how everything is. I'm not hearing a clunk anymore. It's steering better. It's going pretty straight. The fans came on. It didn't overheat or even get close to the temp. It has a 180 thermostat in it, so only goes up to about a quarter of the way, a little over a quarter of the way. I did notice whenever I got on it, it was going down to like 10 and running kind of lean. And David and I had adjusted the pressure from 60 down to like 43. And so I bumped it back up to 50. So I'm going to let it cool down for a little bit. And then here in like an hour or two, I'll go drive it around again. And I'll try to record, but it's like impossible to hold a tablet and drive and shift and everything all at the same time. So I don't know. We'll see how I'll figure out something, but yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a little update on the Grand Am. It drives great, so I'm really happy with it. And yeah, so I've only got about 70 miles on it so far with this clutch, so I'm definitely gonna have to drive it around, break it in, and make sure that everything is good to go. But other than that, like, I'm really happy with it. Doesn't seem like the belt is rubbing. Looks like it has plenty of clearance down there. So I'm really happy with it. That should solve all the issues I've been having with pretty much everything, the clunking and the hose rubbing. So it wasn't the best thing, but I mean, it does work. And whenever I do actually get the line will bolt on and actually go on and work as well. So I might even actually be able to get AC working in this car. So we'll just have to see how it goes. I'll have to get that brand new line out of the trunk and try to test fit it sometime. Not really worried about it right this second. I just wanted to get the car running and driving and not leaking coolant or having pulleys rub on anything and not clunking when I'm driving. I'm pulling left to right. Like, yeah, the ride is so much better now that I've adjusted everything again. So I guess something with the front mount being broke and maybe it was sagging a little or something, and now I fixed it. So maybe it's just thrown off the whole geometry of everything. But after adjusting it, it seems like this one might still be a tad little bit turned to the left. Maybe I brought it in too far, but this side seems really good. Yeah, this side looks straight, and this side looks like it's turned to the left some. So I'm probably going to have to adjust that inner to outer tie rod and spit this wheel back out a little bit in the rear. But other than that, it drives so much better, and the wheel is actually straight, so I'm really happy with it. And yeah, and after rewiring that throttle position sensor wire, it's not revving up like it was anymore. It's just idling really good. So I'm really happy with it. I made a lot of progress these last 3 or 4 or 5 days. And yeah, I couldn't be happier with it. So it's driving great. Heat works. It's not overheating. The gauges are all working. I do have a check engine light for the crank sensor, but it's going to be there because it's a computer for a 3.4, but it's running a 3.8. So the crank sensor is a little different, but it does work and it does run in the car. So that's all thanks to Gage with his wiring harness going to the injectors and the coils and all that. I don't know how he did it, but he managed to match everything up and it worked. So to me, it was well worth the $260 or whatever I paid for it. It was well worth it, everything. So huge shout out to Gage. Without him, none of this would have even ever been possible. And pretty much anytime I have a question, I can hit him up, and it might take him a day or two sometimes, but he'll get back to me and let me know whatever I need to know. And he's just been a huge help. And, you know, without his knowledge and him already doing this swap on his Grand Dam, and I don't think I would have ever been able to do it. So I tried my hand at the wiring, the harness. That didn't go well at all. I thought it did. It was kind of, you know, wanting to start, but it just wasn't. And then once I got the harness from Gage, I plugged everything in and it just fired up. So, I mean, yeah, it's a huge shout out to Gage. But overall, I'm really happy with the car. So I'm going to let this cool off. And whenever I go drive it later, I'll try to do some recording, and so that way you guys can see it drive. All right, you guys. So David helped me, and we've been messing with this air box that I found. It came out of that Monte Carlo, and it's not an exact fit because the coolant tank is here, and I guess on the Monte Carlo it's not. I guess it's like over there. So that was a little bit different. So I ended up having to bend it over here because of at this angle, the way it's supposed to go through, it couldn't be right there. So I didn't have a way to really bolt it in. So I had to self-tapper it in underneath. But the computer and the transmission control module both have studs with nuts on them. So I was able to bolt them down. So they're actually bolted down and they won't move around in there. And then we had to add in, this is a boot from a 97 to 03 Grand Prix. And actually, I believe this was off of a Bonneville SSEI airbox. But I was able to get the filter to just slide into the end of that. What normally goes on to the, I want to say is the throttle body side. And then, yeah, the other side just clamped down to my mass airflow sensor. And then we just had to get all these ribs, and I put this side through the hole from the inside, and David helped me, and we just had to get these ribs through the hole, but it pretty much seals it up to the box itself. And I mean, it blocks everything out over here from the side. There's a lot of glare. I don't know how much y'all seen from that, but man, I like it. It cleans up the engine bay a lot. It makes it look nice. A little more blue for my TRQ. And yeah, and the crossbar just bolts right back in. So it's not super duper solid in there. It moves a little, but I'm happy with it. I like it. So I'll probably end up making like a little mount that I can bolt like to the fender or something, and to this to kind of hold it still so it won't move, because that tapping like that is probably going to get annoying when I'm actually driving the vehicle. But until I get it tuned and get the ignition programmed, it's not driving anywhere. So, but that was a really good find. David looked it up, and how much was it?
It was like $4.99 for the silver one.
Yeah.
The black one's $3.99.
So that was a really good find. They only charged me $10 for this. And then I just sprayed some WD-40 on it, and it just wiped it down, and it just cleaned up so nice. So I'm happy with it. I just want to throw that in there in a little update, because I mentioned that when we got the Salvage. And then yeah, this thing, I haven't driven it yet. I just, pulled it backwards and then pulled it back forwards and let it idle and get a heat cycle in it. And then we found a short in this throttle position sensor wire, and whenever we moved this wire, it would make the engine rev up. So I guess this plug has been replaced. I don't know if that was from Gage or from me. Pretty sure it was me. But yeah, I had it taped up, and I guess maybe a couple of the wires were touching at a certain angle. So pulled it all back apart and restripped the wires, reconnect. Hey YouTube, so it's midnight. I actually just woke up about an hour ago. And yeah, I went in there and passed out earlier after David went home. And I was in there editing the video on the computer, and I realized that I never went and drove the car and filmed it. So yeah, I guess tomorrow in the daylight I'm gonna go try to drive the car around and try to get some driving on film, and that way you guys can at least see this thing drive, and you can hear it whenever I back up, like it doesn't go clunk 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 like it did before. And yeah, it's way better, and the steering wheel stays straight whenever I was driving. I did drive over to David's house, and I did drive it up to the smoke shop, but that's really it. And after I drove it up to the smoke shop, I adjusted those tie rods, got the wheels a little bit straighter, and then after it cooled off, after we went to sleep for like 4 or 5 hours and woke back up, then yeah, I went over to David's, and it drove really good going over to David's and back. So very happy with it. It is almost out of E85. It's like below a quarter tank. So I do need to go up to Come and Go and fill it up with E85. But I've got to get some more money before I can do that. So hopefully I can make some money. But I definitely do want to go drive it around, even if it's just around the neighborhood. I want to go drive it around and get it on video, just so you guys can see it and hear it. But I'm very happy with the car. So I'm going to go inside and probably go back to bed so I can get up when it's daylight, and we'll go drive this thing. And so y'all have a good night, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow in the daylight. Alright, you guys, so I'm in the Grand Am. It's been a couple of days, so I'm going to go drive around the trailer park. Have to raise the fuel pressure back up more. It just went straight to lean. Alright, let's see how she does. No clunkety clunk from underneath. potholes. Not doing too bad. Grand Dam. Oh, these roads suck. I'm gonna go over by David's. Go see what David's doing. I guess she's doing good. Not bad. Alright. She's almost out of E, so I'm gonna go ahead and kill it. And then I'm gonna have to go. I gotta make some money somehow. But I just want to give you guys a little update. Show y'all that she does drive. It's not clunking no more whenever I back up or drive around. It's doing much better than what it was previously. So I guess that's probably going to be it for this video, you guys. So I'll probably do another little whenever I drive back over to the house. But yeah, I mean, I'm very happy. I've made a lot of progress. I do still need to rebuild the shifter. I've got that. Oh yeah, it's right down there. And there's the other gauges. Yeah, I need to rebuild the shifter. As you can see, there's a lot of slop in it. And then I have a metal shift knob to go on. That's nice. I like this. But yeah, like I said, that's probably going to be it. So if you guys like the video, leave me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.